Big Bang? That's a question you got to put to him. What caused Big Bang? So he's going to say some kind of energy, right? Because to create a Big Bang, you need a huge amount of energy. What's a Big Bang? The Earth kind of like exploded. I mean, the universe kind of exploded, and universe is still expanding, right? That's basically what's in a nutshell, okay? So we're going to find out, we're going to pose this argument to him, and we're going to ask him what caused Big Bang. He's going to say it's caused by some kind of an energy, okay? So you're going to bring that atheist to the next thing. You see, first law of thermodynamics. You all study physics in high school, whatever, right? That states that energy can be transferred from one place to another or transformed into different forms. Okay? But the total amount of energy in a closed system remains constant. In a closed system, look, energy can be transferred into different forms. But energy has to be there on the first place in a closed system. Where did that energy in the universe came from? That's a question you're going to ask him. He's going to say, I don't know, or you're going to say nothing. Those are the two options he has. Either I don't know, or it came from nothing. If he says it comes from nothing, that energy, the next question you're going to ask him, can something come from nothing? Science side. He's a champion of science. Ask him. Intellect, reasoning, logic. Can something come from nothing? What do you guys think? Right? What is nothing? Nothing really doesn't exist. What is nothing? What is nothing? The concept of nothing is absence of everything. Right? That means no atoms, no protons, no electrons, no leptons, nothing. Something has to be there for something to create. So if he says, no, it comes from nothing. He said, give me an example of something that comes from nothing. See how easy it is to defeat his argument based on science and logic? Give me an example of something that comes from nothing. He will not have an answer for this. Because you know he cannot prove this. Yeah. So, going further, after all this argument, like, look, he accepts his defeat. He concedes. Like, okay, there is something out there. But he's allergic to the word God, right? He doesn't want to believe that word. So we'll say entity. Whatever this entity is, the energy that exists. It's like, okay, I grant you. There was some energy that came, that created all this. Okay? So in order to create this whole Big Bang, and this everything that's created in the universe, what do you need? You need just energy? Can I smash my tablet? Can it turn into an iPhone? No, right? So this energy or this entity needs will and intent and ability. Will, intent, and ability to create things. You guys are clear? I'm being very, very simple, right? You need the will, ability, and intent. Sorry, you got a question?
Curious. So when they say that the energy created it, do they accept that it wasn't planned event? Well, I'm just saying.
No, we're simply telling him, we have to bring him to the base first, right? The basic understanding. Something does not come from it. We have to convince him, first of all, this thing you're seeing, this universe, doesn't come from nothing. It comes from something, from energy or entity. Because currently he does not believe in any creator. We have to convince him of the creator first, right? Then we can talk about other things. So we have to bring him to the first base before we hit a home run with him, right? So that's what we're telling him, okay? We have to convince him, look, whatever entity that is, that caused the Big Bang, the energy, he must have a will, intention, and ability to create this. Because you see, if you want to make a cup of tea, what are the steps that are involved? You have to go to your kitchen, right? You have to take a little, mug out of your cupboard. You have to fill it with water. You put a little tea bag in there, a little sugar, maybe some cream. Put that in the microwave and heat it and make the tea. So these are the steps that are involved. You have a will, you have intention, and you have the ability to make that tea. Same thing. Okay? So he said, okay, I'll give you that. Maybe what you so-called God created this universe. Now he's gonna do a fast one on you. But you see, you tell me, who created that God? How did that God came into being? And he's being clever, right? What caused that God to come into being? And whoever created that God that brought this God, who created that God? And who created that God? So he's being smart, right? You think he's got you. But you see, you tell him, look, there is a thing called infinite regression. You guys know what that is, infinite regression? Yeah, you guys know, right? Some of these guys do not know. So infinite regression is, look, I want to pass this donut to the brother over there who just raised his hand. Right? But in between, there are infinite number of people. You think that donut will ever get to him? Simple, right? There are infinite number of people there. So just like that, if we say God created this universe, but who created that God, who created that? And if you go back all the way, this universe will never come into being. This universe will never be created. So there has to be an uncaused cause somewhere. There's the first starting point. You guys understand? Did I lose anybody? You guys clear?
They're not that smart to understand. They just simply do not deny. They're not researching.
Right.
They're not
Yes.
researching.
Yes. Yeah. So, right. So infinite regression, you can always get that with that. Okay. Okay. Then you have other type of people, atheists. Look, I became atheist because there's so much suffering in this world. And religion is a cause of all the death and killing. It's all the religion. Ask him, show him this slide. Who killed most number of people in this world? There are two dictators, Mao and Stalin. Mao killed over 100 million people in entire China at that time. Stalin killed over 20 million people in Russia. during his regime. This is more people put together than religion in any religious wars. You see? Religion is not doing this. The people, the biggest killer of humanities are the atheists who kill more human than anyone else. So you see, atheism has nothing to offer to anyone. And just going back, look, in academia, if you're a God-believing individual, they'll look down upon you. Do you know that? In academia, if I follow my religion, I say, really? You believe in God? As if you're like a leper. Seriously. And you will be discriminated against. A lot of people do believe in God in academia, but they don't tell their faculty members that I believe in God. Because in academic community, if you're following a certain religion, they'll treat you like a leper, an outsider, a pariah. Okay? So, this is not a new question. If there is God, Sheikh Chad mentioned that, because of that. Bart Ehrman left Christianity. Okay, I differ with that. But the thing is, look, if there is God, why is he not stopping all this evil in this world? Why he's letting all the Ghazan children die and all the death and hunger in Africa and not do anything about that? Why is he not helping these people? There must not be a God then. What kind of God is he that he's not helping these people? Why is there so much suffering? That's how they see it. And that's why I say, I'm atheist because of that. There's no God. Okay? All right? You see, in order to differentiate between what is good and what is evil, evil must exist. How are you going to know a day from the night and darkness from the light if that does not exist? How do you know what is evil and what is good if there is no example of evil is in front of you? Allah has given you free will, right? On the day of judgment, we all will be held accountable for what we have done. This is a simple lack of understanding of Quran and Allah's teaching. They say, oh, why there is so much suffering? Didn't Allah say that? On the day of judgment, not an iota of injustice will be served to anyone. Anyone who has done, a good worth, the size of the mustard seed will see the reward. If anyone has done any evil, the size of the mustard seed will see the accountability of that. They simply do not know this. We have failed, right? We have failed to communicate these to these people. Okay? So, next question we're going to ask them is, what is your moral compass? Where are you getting the morality from? Dr. Saab mentioned that. They're going to say, well, we get our morality from society. Who determines that? You see, society always had subjective moral principles, right? Keep changing. 100 years ago, homosexuality was a sin and a crime in this country. You go to jail for that. But society has changed now and is accepted. So you get your principle from a society that keeps changing. These are subjective principles of morality. Objective morality only comes from Creator. That does not change. And Dr. I'll give an example. Look, If society deem it okay, acceptable, that incest is okay between two consenting adults, are you okay with that? Legitimate question. Ask him, ask him. Are you okay with that? Because if society deems it acceptable, are you going to be okay with that? Or you going to get your morality and says, no, I don't accept it? And where do you get that from? Who told you incest is not okay between two consenting adults? See? So, one morality, what may be moral in the society, may not be moral in other societies. So whose moral principles are you going to implement? There are different cultures and different people, and they see morality differently. I see morality differently. I see morality from the code of Allah. On the other hand, my neighbor thinks it's okay for his wife to wear, strapless dress and dance with other men in church. I don't see that okay, but it's okay with him. You see? So inshallah, I'm just going to stop here and we're going to leave things for like a Q&A. Do you people have any questions? Go ahead.
So is atheism in an abstract idea in the sense that our religion is organized, like organized religion, we have a book, scripture. Atheism, where is the origin, first origin, was there a philosophy or did it come just people started thinking and they got together and say,
I don't believe in any creator. The world created itself.
so it is not like
It's a warped understanding of reality. Atheist has no basis by God. Look, if you say, look, 2 + 2 is 4, right? And you can prove it. But atheist is like, it's nothing more than following your own desires. I don't want to be bothered with God or any book. I just want to follow what I think is right. What pleases me, I'm going to follow that. Why bother? Get God out of the equation, man.
so they don't actually follow like some they don't have a leader,
No, they just follow their desires. What pleases them?
So you can see the slide here, the history of atheism. It is actually pre-Jesus time. Philosophical atheists began to appear in Europe and Asia in the 6th or 5th century BCE. And there were atheism. There was a dialogue of atheists with Imam Abu Hanifa as well. So atheists challenged Abu Hanifa, one of the imams, and Abu Hanifa reached there 4 hours later. So atheists was so mad at him. He said, "You showing up 4 hours later, and you call yourself a Muslim?" He said, "Wait, let me explain what happened." So I was on the other side of the river, and I was waiting for a boat to come. And all of a sudden, I saw the trees started to fall down. They started to cut, and then the planks were putting in between them, and they started to assemble a boat. And then I saw a boat there, so I just stood on it, rowed the boat, and so the boat started to work. It started to run on its own, but it took about 4 hours to get everything done, and now I'm here on the other side of the river, and I'm talking to you. So atheist said, "You liar! How come a boat can be formed by itself?" Abu Hanifa said, "You liar! You think this creation of all the universe came into being by itself?" And that was it. So these atheists have been debating and for a long time, but there has been a big push towards atheism more recently, as we talk about new atheism.
I was just curious, why are they so anti-Islamic now? I mean, if they are fair
Islamophobia.
Islamophobia. They're funded.
Islamophobia. Yeah.
They're all funded by the Islam-hating groups.
So they're pushing the.
So, like the way C.J. Vermeulen was said, look, before 9/11, liberals were like in their own world, right? Liberals were not Islam-hating. Liberals were not Islam-hating before 9/11, right? So what they did is they have used their guns to turn liberal against Islam by activating all these atheists, like he mentioned, the three doomsday horsemen of the doomsday. Sam Harris and all these
Richard
guys, right?
Dawkins.
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah. By the way, I brought these two books. They are very good. This is the Dawkins Deselected. Subur Ahmed is a great person. He's a philosopher, so you can Google him as well. This is Hamza Zordis. He wrote this book, Hamza Zordis. These two are really amazing people. Debating with Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and all these, horsemen. These people actually have debated them, and they use a interesting part is that they use the same verses I'm showing you. They're using the same verses. So this is amazing thing, yes.
So understand that, like he was saying, now atheism has died down, gone away now. It vanquished itself. 9/11 was the opportunity, the time when they just turned their blazing guns towards Islam. They used atheists, they used liberals, they used anybody they can, Hindus and whatever, whoever they can find from every nook and corner of the world, like Ayaan Hirsi and all these so-called Lebanese Arab Christians, and I can name a few. They brought them out on the media and gave them the platform against Islam. Go. Malign Islam as much as you can. And they start bringing these pseudo-Muslims who are not Muslims to begin with and make them look like a little lamb when they're debating these Ayaan Hirsis and Richard Dawkins. They themselves did not have any knowledge. That's what they were doing. They put on a media show to make Islam look bad.
So is it dying down right now because people are finding more that religious groups are stronger now? Is it the reason why these are this? I mean, I feel like people are becoming more and more religious. I mean, I feel
As the awareness grows.
yeah, because people are
Now you don't have an excuse, right? You're on the web. There's tons and tons of videos out there of debates between the atheists and religious people trying to prove God and whatnot. And every time you see that, atheist loses. They lose an argument. They can't make an argument that is succinct and at its merit. They can't make that.
If someone who is not totally atheist, he accepts God exists and creates before the Big Bang.
Right.
But just like duty is achieved, and then God does not do anything. All depends on human beings.
Right.
So what
So,
we
Yeah, so there are people who like that God is, has created everything. Now everything is in autopilot.
is create before the Big Bang.
Yeah.
And the mission finished.
Right.
And then God doesn't do anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No.
God just created everything and he just left it on the autopilot. Everything is just running itself.
Yeah.
There are people like that out there. But we can defeat that argument too, but I don't have the time to get into that. Go ahead.
I think one thing that we covered is that how independent of atheism, atheists bring up the fact that good people and people who are genuinely who are faith and that want to that nation want to help, and people who are not good and don't have a moral compass at all, and that general they just because they believe in God.
Yeah.
They have salvation.
That's a very good point, and there's an answer to that, okay? Look, your teacher is telling you, in 6 weeks from now, there's going to be an exam in your class, right? And what he does, he gives you the papers and a book to read. See, look, I've given you all the answers. Here are the questions. Just read it. And you'll pass the exam. Make sure you read them. 6 weeks you have, and you have plenty of time to prepare. But what you do, you take that piece of paper, you look at it, and you just chuck it. I can do better. What does he know? And comes exam time, what happens? You flunk. Now, are you going to blame the teacher for that? Are you going to blame the teacher for that? Right. It's your own doing. He gave you plenty of time to prepare. But you don't want to do this. You think you can do better. How much time do we get in our lifetimes? Look, there's another thing. Look, can God throw people in hell if they've never been exposed to Islam? If they've never heard about Islam? What did we say? No. If there is some Indian living in an Amazonian jungle, never heard about Islam, if he dies, is he going to go to hell? No. Allah has his own justice. On the day of judgment, there's going to be a test that will be given to him. And if he passes that test, then he will go to Jannah. You see? This is how it is. But now there is no excuse. So look, I want to have all the fun in the world. I want to fornicate and drink and do this and that. And God should not put me in hell for this. Why? I just want to doing my own business. But did not God forbid you from doing this? Didn't God tell you, look, do not drink, do not fornicate, destroys the society. Don't commit evil. Don't steal. Didn't God tell you that? But no. You want to follow your whims and desires? God has already told you this is going to be an exam. When you check that piece of paper, Did I answer all the questions? Or you guys have more questions? Shall we meet after Maghrib, or you guys are okay? Are you guys okay, or?
It's up to you. Inshallah, next time.
Alright, inshallah. The recording is available already. Okay, I'll load up the recording tonight. Recording from yesterday and from last week are also available on DFW. So you guys can listen to it. You have all the notes that are available, inshallah. So take notes and go to town. Right?
Please take the donuts, finish up the donuts.